Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, this is me, Hudson Judge again. Doing our life. My topic is for Caribbean people. I want to say Caribbean, island people. Caribbean, the whole Caribbean. Whether you English, Dutch, French, Spanish, black, mixed race, French, whatever your language is and your race is, you Chinese man, you East Indian, whatever you are. If you're from Java, Philippines, whatever people in the Caribbean, don't be too excited when you see extremist forces are fighting or fighting. Now, we're living in a region right now, and it could have a big war. The war is about, in my opinion, it's an economic war mixed with ideology, greed, capitalist greed, dictatorial greed, ideology greed. So ideology will come under capitalism and one party state left-wing politics with Marxist or Leninist favor and extreme capitalism going up against them. So the excuse, both groups have excuses to make war. Now I'm Grenadian, I've been to the revolution, and both of them complaint could be similar. So you as a Caribbean person, don't get too excited and say you 100% here or you 100% there. Because you got to look at, before we have all this left-wing ideology in the region, the big boy capitalists didn't care about us. You got to remember that, eh? They didn't care about us. Then if we go and we follow the left-wing brand of politics, what they believing in freedom for individuals to express what they like or what they don't like, then again, you go to an extreme over there. And if you're supporting imperialism, you're extremist too. Because at the end of the day, you still go be the victim. Now I will tell you why. Before all these ideologies pop up in the Caribbean, the capitalist country that could help us, they don't help. So you go to those other countries that anti-capitalist for help. But those anti-capitalist countries, once you get close to them and they start giving you things, they don't tolerate opponents. You see it with the People's Revolutionary Government. They don't tolerate opposition. So once they start to give you things, they go tell you crack down on the opposition. So we have to look at Maurice Bishop, Grenada Maurice Bishop, and dealing in Cuba. Yes, he get doctors, he get airport, he get things, but he had to crush his opponents. In Cuba, there is no opponents. Now, if you go the American way, they won't help you get out of poverty either, too. So, but if you travel to America and you could make some dollars, who are able to go, you have chance to make some money. If you have a nice little business in Grenada, in the tourism. You make money when the Americans come. But to say the Americans go care for the Caribbean people, I don't think so. Because if they had to, they would have cared. But now is their interest. Now, then again, touching Guyana and Venezuela. Because the problem right now is America and Venezuela. Now, the whole region down there have oil. From Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad, Venezuela, Colombia, Suriname, French Guyana, Cayenne. The whole area is oil. Right? We know that, right? So who drilling already and who say they find oil? So that is our oil belt. The American has got his interest. The left-wing political world got the interest because they're challenging imperialism. So now you in the Caribbean island, you get yourself in GruGru-Baily crossway, you're between a rock and a hard place. You get caught up in Cold War politics. So if you're in Grenada and you just do blog and you pro Maduro or you pro Donald Trump, but you're making a mistake because when the dust settles, if America win and you want anti-America, you might have to deal with them because they're the big dog. So if they win, if they go to war and they win, now if they don't go to war, or even though they go to war and the Venezuelan people survive with the political ideology, as they say, to protect the island, you will have to trade with them. So don't get too excited and support the United States, and don't get too excited and say you're supporting Venezuela. Because you like eggs in rockstone dance. Because if you look at our past, a lot of us travel to the United States working to make $1. Even some of our educated folks what went to Cuba and they full of left-wing ideology. When they come back to Grenada, they don't want to work for EC dollar. They're going to look for In God We Trust. They go in America and look for Yankee dollar. They like Donald Trump dollar, but they're still attacking left-wing politics. So you study in Cuba, you come to Grenada. You don't want EC dollar, so you go in America, but you still have the ideology. Right? In Mr. Trump's country. So maybe he don't like that. Right. Then again now, America need oil. America is a capital imperialist country. Right? Maduro in Venezuela have your own ideology, nationalism. You want to protect the oil. Can I blame him for it? No. But in protecting the oil, he crushing his enemy hard because he don't trust imperialism. And this is the problem with left-wing politics, where they just get into trouble because they become paranoid when they fighting imperialism. People running around and in exile. But he don't want to protect the oil, he said. The oil is the oil. Right? Then now, fast forward now. Going back to the People's Revolutionary Government now in Grenada. The Bonham regime, the PNC party in Guyana, they helped the Jewel movement with the revolution. But Bishop and Code and them They didn't like Forbes Bonham, Maurice Bishop, and Bernard Gold. Or else is the Cuban or the communist or the communist country didn't favor Forbes Bonham. Maurice Bishop and them used to bring Chaddy Jagan and Walter Rodney to Grenada when they have anniversaries and so. Even though Bonham helped them, they don't invite Bonham. Because I remember Maurice Bishop, the towards after Bonham, towards Bonham when Rodney was assassinated. Now, question to the Grenadian left. Is Jagan PPP, People's Progressive Party of Guyana, is it to think it's a socialist party? No. You know, one time I worked with a Guyanese man, and he told me he had an uncle who taught in GBSS. The man told me, the man was not a black man. He told me he mixed with Indian, Chinese, and I think it's Portuguese or something. He told me Indian, Chinese, and Portuguese, but he didn't have black in him. He had 3 races in him. He told me Jagan couldn't be a communist. So I asked him how. And that man was a journalist. I used to keep in touch with him. He had a lot of, all his family is very educated people, but he liked little drinks. And so he's also a journalist. He have lots of university degrees. He used to call me, we used to chat, but I lose touch with him. I don't know where he is now. He told me if Jagan was a communist, he wouldn't last. He told me the capitalist in Guyana is the European and the East Indian. So he told me Jagan's support was race, it's not ideology. So Jagan was a populist. And then one day he said to me, Bonham saved Jagan's life. So I said, well, how Bonham could save Jagan's life? When Bonham opposing Jagan. He told me, well, I didn't know that already. Jagan and Bonham was friends and then they split. He told me, Bonham holding on to power for long in Guyana, saving Jagan's life. Because if Jagan ever moved left and become like Cuba kind of country, he go lose East Indian support from, because East Indians are entrepreneurs. They don't look like the Africans who want a job and money to spend and have a good time. They are entrepreneurs. Okay, that's what he told me. Now, you see what's going on in Guyana with them, Venezuela and Donald Trump. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is an East Indian lady. Now the East Indian in Trinidad have business power. In Guyana, they have business power. So she supports America. You see? Right now, the PPP don't care about left-wing ideology. The politics is not on the sugarcane industry no more. It's on the oil and gas. And furthermore, this is the only political party in the Caribbean, beside the Cuban party with a central committee and the People's Revolutionary with Maurice Bishops and Bernard Code said they had central committee. I think the PPP have something, the political organization top body is like a Politburo. It's not like the other Caribbean countries, how they model it on the Westminster. Even though Guyana politics is proportional representation, like Suriname is proportional representation too. But I'm just giving you tips on it. Now the government is leaning to protect Guyana? Why is black man in Trinidad in gang shooting one another? The East Indian government, dominate government in Trinidad, supporting the East Indian dominate government in Guyana. There is no left-wing ideology anymore in these countries. And then again, you got to give Venezuela some blame too. Venezuela was always good to us. Since in Eric, Matthew, Gary Dales, they're good to us. But if Venezuela had the most oil in the world, most reserve, and the anti-imperialists, my God, was colonialism with Spanish, English, Dutch, and French. Take the Native American land. So when borders shift, the Maduro regime should have make a deal with Guyana and say, okay, let me cut a border now, and we go settle the score. Then they're fighting for the oil. Because the amount of oil Venezuela have, when we die and gone, our generation die, next generation, Venezuela will still have oil. Because they are the most reserve. So they could have settled a border. Then now, Caribbean people again, if you're right-wing politics, you're anti-communism, like me, I believe in freedom of people to vote out government and vote in government. I not know hardcore left winger. As I tell you, I learned from Maurice Bishop and them brand of politics to eliminate opposition, and I don't believe in that. So now, we have to look at if the US invade Venezuela and they occupy it, or if they damage it, we don't have nothing to get. Because before the Venezuela crisis, we were not getting nothing like America was giving us money. If you walk over there, you could go over there and make a $2. And you could send remittance to your family. And if you're into the hotel industry, the tourism, America spend money in Grenada. It's true. So we spend some American money in Grenada. But in terms of America government to Grenada government or the Caribbean government giving them money, free medical, no, you won't get that. So when your kidney gone, you go dead. If you want a bypass in your heart, or what you want, you go dead, you won't get. So that's what I'm saying. Don't get too excited over the conflict between Venezuela and Guyana. And when you box yourself, whatever happened tomorrow, or 20 years from now, or 15 years from now, you could come back to haunt us. So don't be petty with your politics. Be wise. You could be fearless but not careless. So the point is that both Venezuela and the United States is going after each other's weakness. Trump is saying democracy. People not getting the chance to vote. And Venezuela had to, they do like the PRG in a way, they hit their opponents hard. And they're going all over the world, you know. They say there is about 650,000 in the US. And before all that problem, you didn't have even 300,000 or 200,000 Venezuelans in the United States. So Trump won't to play on that card. Now, as for the one with the cocaine trade between Venezuela, could be politics. Because when Maurice Bishop had to crush the Jewel movement that embraced him and helped him to become a prime minister, even though they didn't need him as a lawyer to look after them. He labeled all Jewel people, drugs people, and crushed them when he get close to Fidel Castro. So Trump is using that one on the same drugs thing on the Venezuelan government now. Why Maurice Bishop was using it on his on the Jewel movement people who make him politically when he wanted to get rid of them. So politics is nasty. So will Venezuela and United States go to war? I don't know. Are they bluffing? I don't know. All I know geographically, Venezuela is not flat like, is not small as Iraq. Venezuela is a bigger country to compare with Iraq. Venezuela is a big country with mountainous terrain. Will Trump occupy it easily? We don't know. Second question. The Arab world have a lot in common. Islam. But the Islamic are not united. You are Sunni, you are Shia, you are Arab, Muslim, you are Persian, Muslim, and they all have their own brand of politics and Islam differences, plus tribalism, tribal groups and so. So it was easy for US to take Iraq. They had it for firepower. They could take Venezuela too, but Venezuela, so there's type of countries what we call left-wing countries. They're very westernized in way of life, because Venezuela is even though it's a socialist country, lifestyle in Venezuela is just like in the United States in terms of freedom of women, sexual orientation, which Cuba also liberates sexual orientations. Venezuela was the most queen show in the world, in Islamic country. Not queen show, but yeah, queen like, how you say, Miss World, Miss Universe, those things, they participate in that. The beef with the American is based on oil and gas. Can I tell somebody to give me what the island, the money? It's like you have a talking Grenada now. If you go home and you have a lot of money, people who don't have a lot of money feel you must share it with them. Well, America, and then if you don't share it, they say you mingy or you stingy. In the case of America, they're wealthy, but when they come to you, they want to take all what you have too and give you a little piece. So Venezuela gone to the left. They're not going to protect my island. This is what causing the problem. But by so doing that, they set up a dictatorship because they're paranoid. So we got into in this politics. It's not good because the position Trinidad is taking. I can't blame Guyana, because Guyana have a border problem with Venezuela. Now Trinidad take a hard Balco, than even Guyana, offer Donald Trump landing place. Same like when Tom Adams of Barbados offer Reagan landing in Barbados. You see? Caribbean politics. Then now you're in Comrade Ralph Gonsalves. He attacking too much these days. He was the biggest socialist man. Now he attacking our dialogue. Because perhaps he don't trust Trump. Now, in Grenada now, an MP in my parish. Well, if I was in Grenada and I have to vote in St. Patrick's West. But the St. Patrick's have two constituencies. The MP in St. Patrick's East, he running problem with the American for making a statement about he don't need what's a mountain, paraphrase. If he loses the US visa, he don't must go there, he and his family. So somehow he gets suspended for that. Right? Take away his stuff, right? Now, I hear Ralph Gonsalves say more than that already. And Ralph Gonsalves almost said the same thing like the Grenadian MP. But the American, they didn't go down hard on Ralph Gonsalves as they go down on Dennis Cornwall of Grenada. Could it be because Dennis Cornwall is a typical black African looking man? And Gonsalves is a Portuguese, Latino, Caucasian. Who knows? I don't know. From a black perspective, I think that Cornwall will be the one going to get hit from that. When Ralph Gonsalves been making nice more than Cornwall. But Cornwall only make one mistake and he get a strike. You understand? So I tell you, don't be too excited when you see extremist people fighting political ideology. Extreme capitalists, extreme socialists, Marxists fighting. You little Caribbean people, you can't even make a slinging shot again. In Grenada, we kill our scientist is dead. The only scientist we had in Grenada was an illiterate man from Liberia, St. Patrick's called Joe. I know him as Joe Parkbeff. He was an inventor. He used to make guns, radio, walkie-talkie. Maybe if you're alive now, you don't be making drones. I don't know. But he got old and he died. All US and Grenadian, they go to British school and American school and they come back and they bright. And if you call them in the name dates, they say you don't have manners. A man go study in America and he get a PhD when he come back. If you don't call him doctor, he don't want to talk to you now. He say you're disrespectful. Why is in the United States a man with a doctorate, people don't call him doctor. Or in Canada, they don't really say it every day. They say it on occasions. When a Caribbean man get a doctorate and he come home, when I get in America, US, Britain, or a European country, communist country, wherever he get it, he wants you to call him doctor. He or she, they want the title to their name. Because I live in Toronto and know a lot of people with PhD and they don't care if you don't call them doctor. You get? But if you go in a forum with them and they have to address something, they go say, well, doctor, so, and so. Just join reference again. How we are in the Caribbean. So we say we are who anti-imperialism, who pro-American capitalism, and some say they're anti-capitalism, anti-imperialism. And then before I go, as for us in Grenada, We have a young government and the activists have no idea of global politics. And then you have a see one or two remnants of the PRG around again, around this government. Why is Donald Trump have his gunboat out in the ocean? Are we living in an illusion? I remember, we easy to come to the extreme. A lot of people listen reggae music and they hear about Rasta and they leave civilization and go and live in the Far East, who dead. Some come back, some change, some still have the belief. Because we just get excited with new things. Before that and during that time, if a fundamentalist preacher come, everybody get baptized. 2 days, some stay, some leave. So we tend to be trend followers. But now in Grenada, a lot of young people now don't know politics. All they know is yellow and green. And the females in politics move with emotions than substance. So let us hope we don't have war. I don't want war. War is not a good thing. You might be sitting in Grenada or Trinidad, attacking our country close to Venezuela. St. Vincent, Barbados. Well, I understand in Curaçao, they throw in the line like Trinidad. I heard on the news, El Salvador supporting Trump. Colombia not supporting Trump. Brazil taking two tongue. Argentina on the kind of diplomatic with the language, but they have the troops on alert. We're in the Caribbean island, we don't know what's going on. But I'm saying, if there is a war, if Trump wins, we have nothing to get. If Maduro wins, we don't have much to get into. The same what Venezuela used to give us, if they survive, they will still give us. And what we get in from America, we will still get. I don't expect you to get more. You think if Trump put a new regime in Venezuela, they will give us free oil? I don't think so. They won't give free oil. Based on what I know, Grenada and Venezuela have between 80 and 80, I think it's 80 or 82 miles border. 80 miles border. 80. And it is said Venezuela drilling oil 40 miles from Grenada. What is the international law? 200 miles. Maybe Grenada should be getting free oil from Venezuela. Yes. If Venezuela is drilling oil 40 miles from Grenada, and we 80 miles away, where is our booty? You understand? So anyway, as for me, I don't want war. Because we don't want nothing to get. And I'm going to close up with part of my topic, the conclusion. You see war for oil and gas now? So if Maduro might gone, if Trump win, you excited? You might get gunboat for your beaches where you just bed too. Because anything the bigger power want, if they want your beach, they might send the gunboat for you for it too. The beaches, multi-corporations, they're inventing big hotels and they might say, okay, you rude, I want your beaches too. That's my conclusion. I had it in my headline. So let us be balanced with what is going on, because I'm not a sea person. I'm buying in the highland of Grenada. I notice a lot of people when we go home now, we like to be on the beach. I grew up with the belief my mother tell me the cedars want a soul, especially from the time it takes September to December, the cedars make nice, you want a soul. So I'm not a sea person. But being as we travel, we learn to love the beach. Those of us from the island. So you might be anti-Venezuela 160%, not knowing the same people you're supporting might one day want to take your beach from you. Where you gonna lie down in the sun? I don't know. It could happen too. You see island gas today. It could be something else tomorrow. Because we have access to the beaches. Anyway, I go on this. Anyway, I go on till I come again. Hudson George as usual. This is my life. Life for today.